Hey, my Pilates people, welcome to my channel, Connect and Move. My name is Jessica. Today I have for you a chair session. We'll be working on rotation today and also anti-rotation. So all that means is we're just going to be trying to stay square with an offset load, which is always so fun and so challenging. A couple things that you're going to need today. We're only going to be on the floor, just a couple moves, but one of them we will be kneeling. Right, so I have a pad handy for when I'm kneeling on the floor, because obviously this will not be very pleasant here on this hard floor. And then we'll just be seated for the other move. So the other thing that you're going to need is some type of box. You could use your long box if you have a reformer, or like a step, a chair. You could even use the wall. I'm just going to use my reformer since it's right here, and I'll just quickly demonstrate what we'll be doing. So ideally, I would like it if the thighs were a little bit more parallel to your hips, or sorry, to the floor for this move. But I mean, for me, they're just going to be up a little bit higher, right? So a little bit of kind of deconstructed teaser work from the top. That's why you'll need your step. Other than that, you won't need anything else. To start, all right, spring setting. So I have 6 spring settings here. Or sorry, 3 on each side. I'm going to be starting with 2 in the middle. If you have 4 spring settings, I would say do maybe 1 from the top and 1 from the bottom. You could do both springs on 1 from the top. It might be a little heavy. So just, be mindful of that. You might have to adjust a couple things here and there. And we're going to get started with 100. All right, let's just get it done. Let's just get right into it and get warmed up, and then we'll move right into some footwork. So spring setting, you have a mat, you have a box, or maybe you can use a wall nearby, and let's get moving. All right, so just remember to honor your body. If 100 from the top of the chair with no neck support is not for you, come down to the floor, right? No worries. So if you're doing it from the top of the chair, I want you to scoot super, super, super far forward, all right? And then go ahead and lie back, roll back. Bring your knees into your chest. You're already in your 100 spine shape. So I'm going to think of my long, heavy tailbone. My low back is pressing into the mat without tucking my pelvis. My arms are going to reach forward strongly. And now press the legs out and away to my working angle. Start pumping for your 100. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. See how big and vigorous you can pump those arms? And make sure that you're looking down at your low belly, not at your toes, unless your toes are at your hips. Inhale and exhale. Feel like you're reaching into the springs, like you were doing it on the reformer. Nice broad collarbone. Next, inhale, could you lift the legs up a little bit? And exhale, lower the legs. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. One more time, hang in there. Big pumps. Reach, reach, reach. Exhale out all of that breath. Hug the knees in. Rock yourself up. All right. Hopefully that warmed you up. Let's spin around. Let's place your toes on, heels together, toes apart. You are either in the center or close to the front edge here. I'm going to start with my arms at the sides. I'm going to hug them in and reach them down, just like a chest expansion from the side. And I'm going to sit up tall, soften the ribs, wrap my toes around that front part of the pedal. My heels are high. Exhale, lift the pedal. Inhale, push the pedal. Exhale, pull the pedal in. Inhale, down. Now, I want you to try to get those toes so far over that if I was to take a side shot, the balls of the feet would be in the front side of the pedal as well, right? Not in this kind of crunched up position with the toes, if that makes any sense. And that position makes it really hard to push the pedal all the way down. For 3 and 2 and 1, lift the pedal up, come onto your arches. Now again, before we press the pedal down, I want you to push those heels down to that base. So active flex of the feet, Toes wrap up and over if you can. Woo! Press the pedal down, pull it into you. Press it down, pull it into you. If you'd like to switch up that arm position, maybe come to those I Dream a Genie arms. Forearms are pressing into one another. And you're trying to create space between your chest and your forearms. Let's do 3. Push those heels down. 2 and 1. All right, now slide up onto your heels. Active flex of those feet, right? Just like arches on, now we have just toes lifting up. Okay, heels are pushing down. Go and switch up your arms. And now push the pedal down and pull it into you. Push it down, pull it into you. And as the pedal comes up, I'm thinking of kind of sticking my booty out because I really want to round. Exhale, pull it in. Exhale, pull it in. Let's do 3 and 2 and 1. Now push the pedal down about halfway. If you want, you can take the hands behind the head. Either go hand over hand or interlace your fingers. And now push your head up and into your hands. Elbows are still in your peripheral. Straighten your right leg out in front of you. Find equal weight into your hips. Little baby pumps here of that pedal. Right leg, I don't care if it's high or low. It's just strong, straight, and reaching. For 3, 2, 1. Hold the pedal. Right leg down, left leg out. Mid-range pumps. Mid-range, mid-range. Keep pushing your brain up through your skull. For 3, 2, 1. Now come onto your arches. Again, drive the heels down. Right leg stretches out. Little pumps. You got it. You got it. You got it. For 3, 2, 1. Here's that anti-rotational stuff I was talking about. It's really tempting to want to side bend, to like lean, trying to stay tall and lifted. For 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back onto your toes. But now let's go parallel. Push the pedal all the way down. All right, so you might have to lean forward. All right. In fact, scoot forward for everybody here. So you're right at the edge. I want you to bring your right knee into your chest. I'm pushing my shin into my hands and I'm pulling my ribs away from my thigh. I'm going to rock back a little bit to where I feel like, okay, that pedal really wants to push up. And I'm going to stay here. And now I'm going to pump the pedal here. Still trying to keep my left heel high. Ooh, and my inner thighs hugging in. Let's do 3, 2, 1. Push the pedal down if you can. Anybody see that left ankle shaking? Left knee in. Round. Here's your hug arms right here. Lean back if you can. And now we pump the pedal here. Woo. There's that shake. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's just uncontrollable. I don't know what's happening. All right, it's that push, pull, push, pull. Long waist, y'all. 3, 2, 1. Push it down, rock forward. Now come onto your heels, wide on the pedal. So there's a little bit of a turnout here. All right, wiggle yourself back to center, hands behind your head again. Think half of your fingers on your neck, half of your fingers on your skull. Again, elbows in your peripheral. I'm gonna sit up tall. I'm gonna pull the pedal into me and push the pedal down. Pull the pedal into me, press it down. Now hold it on the down. I'm gonna lift and twist to the left, lift, lift, lift. Back to center, pedal lifts up. Press it down, lift and twist to the right. Head pushes back, equal weight into your feet and hips. Back to center, pedal lifts up. Press the pedal down, twist to the left. Imagine you're in a cylinder, a very narrow cylinder, and you've got to twist without touching the sides of the cylinder. Back to center, pedal lifts. Press it down. You spiral straight up, straight up, straight up. Back to center, pedal lifts. One more time each side. lift, lift, back to center, lift, 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 back to center. Awesome, float the pedal up. All right, so now we're gonna take one spring off. So we're left with one in the middle. If you have like one of those exo chairs or you have 4 spring settings on the side, I would like for you to be one from the top. So I think most studios or most places call it a number 3. Right, so one from the top. Again, adjust accordingly. So press down from the front. All 10 toes are pointing forward. You know, you're a few inches away from the base of the chair here. Go ahead and reach the arms out in front of you like Frankenstein arms. I'm going to think of lifting up tall and grounding down through my feet. Drop your head, round up and over. Hands to the pedal. Just press the pedal down and pause here. All right, if you feel like you need to move forward or back, right, go ahead and do that. Drop your head, lift up through your center spine, and find that 50% of your weight forward and 50% of your weight in your legs, but really work the heel connection to the floor. And now we lift the pedal up, keeping the 50-50, and then press the pedal down, stay lifted up through your center spine. Pedal lifts up, tailbone drops, and we press it down, going up and over. Last one here like this. We press it down. Now hold in the down. Again, dig your heels into the floor without shifting weight, if that makes sense. And now we bend the elbows narrow and then straighten the arms. Bend the elbows narrow and straighten the arms. This is an opportunity to find more length on the sides of your neck, but also to find lift up through the center spine for 2 and 1. Now keep the arms straight. I'm going to bend my knees. I'm going to think of driving my knees forward as my tailbone drops and curls under. Now I'm going to lift the pedal up, tailbone drops more. As I press the pedal down, keep your tailbone curled under, keep your tailbone curled under, and then lift the pedal up. Maybe my knees drive forward more, keeping the heels down, up and over, pull those ribs up and back, and then back up. So we just did this with straight legs, but I'm hoping now this, you might be getting a little bit more of a stretch somewhere, a little bit more of a lift. Now press the pedal down to that working angle. Can you tuck the tail a little bit more and try to create more space between ears and hips? Bend the elbows narrow and pump, right? Just pumping that pedal, bend and straighten. Stay looking down between your legs, or maybe your belly, maybe your boobs, if you got them, for 3, 2, 1. Find the arms straight, all right? And now straighten the legs back out. Can you keep that same lift and that rounding through the spine? And then float the pedal up, up, up. Arms come with you. They lift and open out wide to the sides of the room. Okay, now we're going to do this one-armed, all right? So reach the arms up to the sky or up and out in front of you. Drop your head round forward. My right hand's going to come to the pedal. And you know what? Let's take our left forearm around our stomach here, right? So as I press the pedal down, I'm going to think of my belly lifting up off of my forearm. Find your 50-50. And now lift the pedal up. So use all of these markers around you, say the seaming on your pants, the wall, any mirrors you have, your eyesight, to see that you're staying square here as you're doing this single arm press. Keep dropping your tailbone. Last one here, press it down, staying square, and now bend the elbow narrow and straighten the arm. Think of that elbow spiraling in. You can also think of it as like a tricep press for 3, 2, 1. Arm goes straight. Let's just go ahead and switch sides here. So my left hand is going to come down. My right arm is going to come around my belly. I'm going to keep that lift up through my center spine, round even more. Pedal lifts up, press it down, drop that tailbone heavy. So that same sensation of like rounding through the low back that we had with knees bent, find it here with legs straight. Stuffing things and stuffing things. Let's do 2, staying square. Last one, keep the head dropped. We pump the pedal. Keep curling your pubic bone to your navel. All right, you're going to need that for this upcoming teaser. We have 2 and 1. Arm goes straight. Let's go ahead and just take both hands on and then float the pedal up. Arms reach forward. We stack our spine all the way up. Arms circle around and down. Nice work. Okay, so now let's get your box or your step, whatever you have. I'm just going to flip my chair around to where I'm closer to my reformer here to prop your feet up on. All right, so once your feet are propped up onto whatever you have, I want you to scoot pretty close to that edge so we have lots of support behind us, okay? So just take your hands onto the pedal. You can either have fingertips facing away, fingertips facing in, completely up to you. All right, so I want you to zip your legs up, right? And then just go ahead and push the pedal down a little bit, right? So you can just feel the resistance of the pedal, just feel what you're working with, all right? So I want you to round your spine, So we just did this, only we were flipped upside down and our arms were forward, okay? So find that sensation of tailbone curling under, center spine pulling back. It's okay to let your shoulders roll in a little bit here, right? I'm okay with that for today, okay? So from here, keep scooping out the abdominals and then lean back to press the pedal down. And now you're going to get deeper into that rounded shape as you think of coming up and over to lift the pedal up. I don't care how much the pedal moves, right? And think of coming up and over. Pull the belly back as the chest comes forward. Again. Pull the belly back as the chest comes forward. Think of pulling the pedal into you, all right? And now press the pedal back to that kind of start position we had. Straighten your right leg out in front of you. Think of it as like, I don't know, this is like your 45, this is your teaser, all right? I'm gonna roll back, pubic bone to sky, pubic bone to sky, and then roll up, up, up. We press it back. Keep trying to hollow out the low belly, and then come up, up, up. Last one. Pull the pedal into you as you come up and over, up and over, up and over. All right, and now place that foot down. Left leg is going to shoot out long. It's just reaching away from your hip. Roll back, roll back, roll back, and then come up, up, up. As you're rolling back, it's like you're trying to get your low back into the mat and try to keep it there for as long as you can as the chest comes up, ribs come back. Chest comes up, ribs come back. And all the while we're trying to stay square. So here's that kind of anti-rotation here. We've got an offset load with the one leg, up and over, up and over, up and over. Go ahead and take both feet down. Keep your left hand on the pedal. Reach the right arm up to the sky, all right? Again, find that same kind of scooping back, pubic bone up to the sky. And now you're gonna rotate your body to the left. Equal weight into both hips. So I'm going to think of kind of pushing the pedal down with the twist and then back to center. So the only reason the pedal moves here is because my body is twisting. I'm not leaning back any further. Reach back, look back, and come back up. Remember that cylinder that you're in. I just found myself wanting to lean to the left. Keep your head in line with your spine and back to center. Right hand comes down, left arm comes up. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Head stays in line with your pelvis or with the center of your pelvis. Again, rotate, ring out your center, keep the weight into that left hip and back to center. 2 more, y'all. We spiral, get longer, longer, back to center. Whoo! I don't know about you, but I am shaking right now. Make that bottom arm a little bit longer and then back to center and come all the way up, all the way up. Whew, and just take a break. Okay, that was enough of a break. We're gonna stay on these same springs. You're done with your box or your step or whatever you have. And now we're gonna do our swan here, okay? So pelvis comes onto the chair, hands come onto the pedal. Ideally, hands will be underneath your shoulders. All right, if anything, I would say come a little bit more forward if you absolutely have to. It is, I personally find harder, so do what you gotta do. I'm gonna try to get my legs zipped up together today. I'm gonna try. So think parallel big toe, inner ankle bone, inside of the knee, super glued together. All right, my pubic bone is kind of rolling into the mat here. And before I even lift the pedal, I'm gonna think of creating as much space between my chest, my low ribs, and my hands. All right, now from the ribs, when you lift the pedal, we lift the ribs, just 1 inch and hold, just 1 inch. 1 inch and then lower back down. Try to get your wrists as straight and as long as you can. Lift the ribs up. It might feel like you're rounding and then lower back down, right? It comes from your upper abs. Lift the pedal up 1 inch, right? Lift it up another inch, hold here. Do not let your low back change. Lift the pedal up another inch. Lift the pedal up another inch. And now when you feel like you can't go any further, keep the pedal still. Push the chest forward. Push it forward, keeping the lift up through your abs, up through your ribs. And then take your gaze back down to that long line, and then lower the pedal down, all the way down if you can, right? I know some of the chairs are super high. Lift the pedal up from your ribs. My legs have definitely separated, but I'm thinking of keeping them together. Lift the pedal up 1 more inch. And then another inch. And then when you feel like you can't go any further, chest pushes forward, shoulders roll open. Keep bringing the ribs with you. Keep bringing the ribs with you. Look up, 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 up. And then come all the way back out. Geez, Buddha, you are making this very challenging. All right, legs are strong and reaching behind you. Legs or ribs lift. Chest rolls open. Low back stays nice and long, somewhat. Push the chest forward, push it through your arms, find your upper back muscles, and then come all the way down. Find that long line, come all the way down. Just go ahead and bend your elbows, relax a little bit. All right, and then come back up. All right, find your long line, reignite the legs. Don't worry about the legs being super high. In fact, they might, or dipping them down might help find some space in your low back and lift up through your low belly, okay? Just play around with that, all right? I'm gonna lift the pedal up to that 1 inch. Remember, it's the lift through the ribs, space between your chest and your hands. Take the right arm out to the side, pause here. How square can you get the weight in your hips right now? Make your legs longer, make your right arm longer. And now from here, could you float the pedal up? Bring the ribs with you, bring the belly with you, push the chest forward, and then stretch back out. 2 more. Ribs lift, right? We stay light, we stay lifted through the belly. And then stretch back out. Ooh, square off that pelvis if you can. Push the chest forward. And then lengthen back out. Keep the pedal hovering at that 1 inch. Right hand comes down. Left arm goes out to the side. Reach it to the wall to your left. Reach your legs behind you. Try your best to get square in your hips. Pedal lifts, ribs lift, chest pushes forward. Keep the lift up through the ribs as the pedal comes down. Again, pull the pedal into you. Your spine gets longer, chest pushes forward, and then stretch back out. 1 more here. Strong left arm, y'all. It's a wing to a Boeing 757. And then come all the way down. Hand comes down. Go ahead and float the pedal up. Take your feet down to the floor. Just take a quick stretch here. All right, and now walk your feet forward. Some of you might be able to walk your feet under your chair. I have a base here, I cannot. But if you can get your feet under, still keep some space between the chair and your thighs, all right? So arms reach forward, feet are in parallel, all 10 toes are pointing forward. Already feel this kind of drop of the tailbone down. Nod your chin, round up and over. Hands come to the top of the pedal and pause here. All right. Try not to let this space between your thighs and your chair get any bigger or smaller. Push the pedal down, lifting up through your center spine. And now pull the pedal into you to lift, lift, lift. Right? So there's like the top of chest expansion. There's your 100. Press it down. Drop your tailbone. Dig your heels into the floor. And then pull the pedal into you to lift the ribs, to puff up the back. Last one like this. Press it down. Remember, space between thighs and chair. And pull the pedal into you like you're pressing the pedal to your thighs. And now find more of a flat back here. So for me, I'm tight. I got to bend my knees a little bit. If you got to do that, okay? But I want you to keep the angle of your knees the same, all right? So I'm going to try to find a flat back. It might be a hair extension, all right? I'm now going to take my right hand to my forehead. I'm going to try my best to square off in my hips, my legs, equal weight into your feet. Keep the equal weight into your feet. And now as I twist my upper body to the right, I'm going to think of pushing that pedal away. Push it away, and then back to center. All right. And now when I say push it away as I twist, I'm not leaning forward. I'm still keeping that same space between the chest and the chair, and back to center. All right. Think of creating space in your upper back as you twist and back to center. Ooh, last one. Anybody else's legs a little shaky, shaky? Twist, 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 back to center. Right hand comes down, left hand to your forehead. Try to get square if you can. Maybe take a quick peek at everything. All right. As I twist, that's what moves the pedal. Twist, 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 and back to center. Still keep that kind of push down or pull in on the pedal. Sides of the neck long, y'all, and back to center. I really hope my hips and legs are square for y'all. I'm trying to be a good example here. These are tough. And back to center. Woo! So as I twist to the left, I'm thinking of maybe my left hip going back a little bit. This side's a little wonky. One more time. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Back to center. Take both hands back to the pedal. Drop your head round your spine. Straighten one leg, bend the other knee. Just make it feel good. Don't worry about being perfect here. And then the same thing on the other side. And then go ahead and just find center. Pull the pedal into you. Maybe bend the knees, drop the tailbone down. Go and reach the arms up to the sky. Arms circle around and back behind you. Just get a little stretch, Okay, we're staying on the same spring. Grab your pad for kneeling. We're going to come down and do some kneeling mermaid. Kneeling side bend. Not quite in line, like in the middle of your pedal. Maybe come a little bit further back. That way you have space for your hand to come a little bit more forward. So my legs are going to be zipped up. My shins are going to be pushing down. It's almost as if I was trying to push myself forward, but I'm not going to do that. All right, tailbone is heavy. Pubic bone is lifted up. Right? Think of that kind of sandwiching front body to back body. My left hand, heel of the hand preferably, so I might have to scoot a little bit closer, is going to come to the pedal. My left arm is going to come up, right? I know it's a little heavy for this particular move, so you might have to muscle through the first couple inches. Do what you got to do. I'm going to pull the pedal in and now side bend up and over. And now I'm going to pause here in my side bend. I'm going to check some boxes. I'm going to reach that right arm down and into the pedal so I create space between my ear and my shoulder. And then I'm going to ask myself, do I have equal weight into my shins? Probably not. And that's going to deepen my stretch, which I'm happy about. And I'll keep the equal weight into your shins and then float the pedal up, 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 and try to control it up if you can. All right. I'm going to think side chest expansion, pull the pedal in. I go up and over. Equal weight into my shins. I'm also going to think about my right hip coming forward a little bit more because it wants to go back. And then control the pedal as I come up, up, up. One more time like that. Up and over. Think of reaching out through both arms and then control the pedal all the way back up. All right, now we're gonna add a little spiral to this. So pull the pedal in, we go up and over. And now how square can you keep your hips as your upper body twists a little bit? I'm gonna look down to my right hand. My left arm is gonna reach to kind of that back corner of the chair and then square myself off, right? I'm gonna spiral. As I twist, again, I'm gonna think of that right hip coming forward because gosh, it wants to go back. And then back to center. You got it. Pedal stays relatively still and keep working on that space between ears and shoulders. Last one, inner thighs hug together, shins are pushing down. And then back to center, we square off and then float the pedal up, up, up. Let's spin you around. Let's do the other side. All right, so no matter where you're kneeling here, just make sure that your hand on the pedal can come slightly forward of your midline. I don't want it to be behind. That gets more into the low back. I don't want that. All right, shins, legs are zipped up. If you felt unbalanced or just wobbly there, feel free to open up your knees and your shins. So again, shins push down, tailbone is heavy. All right, right arm comes up. I'm gonna pull the pedal in and then side bend up and over. Let's check some Pilates boxes. Is my tailbone still heavy? Equal weight into my shins, space between ears and shoulders, and then control the pedal as it comes back up. Again, pedal pulls in, find your armpit muscles, up and over. Right, you're moving between those two panes of glass. Make that left arm a little bit longer, and then keep it long as you come back up. So I know the temptation is the pedal wants to kind of jerk the shoulder up into the ear. Let's try to limit that from happening. Pedal pulls into you. We go up and over, up and over, up and over. Left hip forward, left hip a little bit more forward, and then come back up. And that cue is mainly for my tighter people in the room. For those of you who are really flexible, you might not have to think that at all, right? A lot of my cues are like counterbalance cues, counteraction cues. There you go. All right, so over in your side bend here, check your legs, hips, all those things. We stay square in the hips, we spiral, we twist our upper body, and then back to center. I love this one. I could live here. I could, probably. Buddha, would you join me here? As long as Buddha's here. That's all I care about. And my husband too. You know, I kind of like him too. Last one here. Think sternum lifting up as you twist. Find those inner thighs. Find your seat. And then back to center. Control the pedal as it comes all the way up. You can leave your pad here if you like, because we're just going to have a seat and I'm going to kind of straddle the chair for a little spine stretch. To move it back a little bit. All right. So the back of my knee, or my knees really, are in line with the corners here of the chair. And that should put me at about a straight arm's distance away from the chair. If you got to readjust, readjust. So it's more like the heels of my hands are on the pedal here, not my fingertips, okay? So I'm doing a lot of readjusting right now. So feet are flexed. My heels are not just reaching forward, but they're kind of digging down. And because I'm so tight, I'm going to bend my knees a little bit. If you can keep your legs straight, by all means do so, okay? So I'm going to find my bones kind of stacked up on top of one another. All right, I'm going to keep that long line and I'm going to press the pedal down. The elbows are going to bend probably because of the arc of the pedal, and then float right back up. All right, don't let the weight in your sits bones shift at all. All right, you press it down to lift taller. Think of the waistline lengthening, and then back up. All right, find a little bit of that head to hand connection, even though they're not back there. And then back to center. All right, we're gonna do two, just adding a little head turn. So I want you to press the pedal down, lift up tall, hold this position, and now just turn your head to the right, and then turn your head to the left, and then back to center, and slowly release the pedal, kind of like a chest expansion. So let's add some breath on this last one. Inhale, press the pedal down, get tall. Can you hold the breath? As you look to the left, look to the right, look back to center, exhale out all of your breath. Now we're gonna add some round to this, all right? So now as I press the pedal down, I'm gonna pull back through my center spine, tailbone curls under, my weight is obviously gonna shift off of my sits bones, and then stack all the way back up, right? Roll back, round, 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 and then come all the way back up. All right. So if you can push the pedal all the way down to the floor, great, right? But I want you to make sure that your neckline stays long. We're not kind of like caving into our chest here. And then back up. Only because I want to work on more rounding through like the mid to low back here as opposed to upper back, right? We've all got that. Round, 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 pubic bone to navel, and then back up. Last one here. We round energy out through your heels. And now hold this rounded shape, stay back there. Pedal's gonna lift up a little bit and then press it down. Inhale up, exhale, press it down, get deeper. Inhale up, exhale, press down, and back up. Last one, exhale, press it down, and then stack all the way back up. Now take your right hand in the center of the pedal. Left hand's gonna go behind the base of my skull. If this does not work for your shoulder, take your hand in front of your forehead here, okay? So again, I'm gonna stack up tall. Think of my head being over my sternum, over my pubic bone here, all right? As I press the pedal down, I'm gonna spiral up and twist to the left, equal weight into hips, equal weight into the hips, and then back to center, pedal floats up. Again, remember I'm in that little cylinder. I'm trying to go straight up without scraping the walls. And then back to center. Keep those toes pulling back, heels pressing down. I could live here too. This is a nice one. Last one, we spiral up, soft ribs, and then back to center. A lot of times we want to like extend. I want to do it all the time, right? So that's what I mean by soft ribs. So left hand on the center, hand behind the head if that's for you. Head pushes back into your hand. We stack up tall. Pedal pushes down to lift and twist. Find your upper back muscles and then back to center. I can feel weight shifting out of that left hip a little bit more, back to center. Interesting. I'm definitely feeling that a little bit more today. Like my left hip just is not wanting to ground down, but I can feel all the weight in my right hip. And back to center one more time. Grow tall, 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 and back to center. Nice work. I hope at the very least it felt good. And maybe you found some things, some imbalances. All right, so we're done with our mat. Go ahead and take it off to the side now. We're gonna go back to 2 springs. So I'm gonna place that other spring back into that same position we had for footwork. So place your footwork springs back on. Again, if you need to adjust, you adjust. We're gonna do some standing leg presses, not a lot, and we're gonna quickly get into some other fun stuff, all right? All right, so coming around and facing my pedal, all 10 toes are pointing forward, and I'm gonna stand pretty close, maybe like an inch away. So still staying hip socket distance apart, I want you to place your right toes or right balls of the feet onto the pedal and just go ahead and press it down. All right, so get your foot in your sweet spot here, kind of like how we had for footwork with toes on. So, it does make it harder. So I'm gonna lift my right heel up and I'm gonna think of that pulling of the pedal back while my back leg, my standing leg, almost feels like it's pulling forward. So if you've ever done a moonwalk, that's kind of the sensation that we're creating, right? This like scissoring of the legs. I don't care where your hands are at today. I'm gonna place them on my hips just to monitor myself for the first couple reps. And I'm gonna find a little pitch forward. So 50% of my weight into my right, 50% of my weight into the left. I'm gonna lift the pedal up, pull it into me as I press it down. So keeping that 50-50, right heel high, balanced weight across the balls of your feet. Feeling pretty confident with this. I'm gonna take my arms out to the side. Again, front ribs are soft, Tailbone is long. Let's do 3, 2, and 1. Pedal stays down. Can you take your hands now behind your head? If not, you can keep them out to that letter T. Pedal stays down. I'm going to lift and twist to the right, spiral up that spiral staircase, and back to center. One more time like that. Remember, you're in that cylinder. We go up and back to center. Now the pedal moves. So we twist as the pedal comes up. Think of closing the front of your hips and then press it down, grow taller. All right. We lift and twist. I know I've done this in another video, but it is so, so good. It's full body for sure. Head stays pushing back, pedal lifts up. And then push the pedal down, find center. All right. Now, do what you got to do. Extra challenges. Don't touch the chair. Bring your left foot on top of the chair. I'm going to get ready. Got to do a little dance. Left foot comes up. All right. Still hip socket distance apart. All 10 toes are pointing forward. I'm going to round forward. I'm going to take my hands to the front edge of the chair. You can have them on top. I have super crazy long arms, so I can grab under a little bit, but I'm going to lift my ribs up. So I'm kind of creating some opposition here. I'm going to shift my weight forward a little bit. And now I'm going to lift that pedal up just 1 inch, 1 inch. Find that scissor moonwalk action and pump the pedal here. We're not going to do the full mountain climbers, but I want you to work on staying square through your body and lift it up through your ribs. So my left hip is going back, my right hip is coming forward. If you can take your hands off of the chair, great. If not, keep them there. This is tough. We have 3, 2, 1. Press the pedal down, lower down with control. Okay, so now I'm going to pivot gracefully if I can. So my right foot is going to stay on the pedal. Right toes are going to point facing you, so they're in line with the pedal. My left foot is going to stay up here. This is definitely my tighter hip. All right, so left foot is pointing at an angle. Think of it as kind of like a 45 in comparison to your right foot. All right, now I'm going to get a tripod connection into this left foot. I can already feel a stretch because I'm trying to square my hips off kind of to you. Now, if you're really flexible, you could move your foot closer to the back edge of the chair. Not on this side for me, okay? So I'm going to think of kind of closing the front of my hips here. My back leg is going to stay straight, and I'm going to push down into that big ball of the foot. Now, if I can, we'll see. I'm going to try to lift the pedal up. Do whatever you'd like with the arms. Lift the pedal up, and then lower it down. Let's just do a couple inches right now. Lift the pedal up and down. Lift it up and down, up and down. Okay, readjust if you need, okay? Try your best to keep that back leg parallel, all right, to the pedal, on the pedal. So now we're gonna add a little twist to this, okay? Like, kind of like running with the arms, I guess, okay? So I'm gonna lift the pedal up, right? And then as I come down, I'm going to try and twist my body to the left. I try to square off a little bit as pedal comes up. Twist my body to the left as the pedal comes down. Push into that left big ball of the foot. Keep wrapping your inner thighs in towards one another. We only have 3 because these are tough. And 2. And the last one. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Come all the way down. Stuff and things. And since we're here, let's just do side pull up. All right. Legs are now zipped up together. Hands. They're going to come to this position, right? Take a wider base of support if you need, right? Otherwise, they're going to be like so. My legs are zipped up. All 10 toes are pointing forward. Feet are flexed. So my left foot is hovering out there to the side. Drop your head, round your spine. Square off the hips in line with your feet. Float the pedal up, 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 and then lower it down, down, down. Try not to bottom out. Keep swiveling your right heel into the pedal, into the chair. And keep your chest up away from the chair. 2, And 1. Lower down. Square your body off. Do a quick prance. Quick prance, quick heel drop. We're moving and grooving today. We've done a lot today. We have a little bit more to go. All right, other side. So find your parallel hip socket. Keep your left toes onto the pedal. Right foot comes down to the floor. Keep the pedal down. Come up to standing. All right. Find all that space between your ears, your hips, your feet. Get tall, get long. Pedal lifts up. Pull it into you as it comes down. All right. Left heel is lifted. I'm thinking of my left hip going back a little bit, my right hip coming forward. So there's already that kind of closing of the front of the hips while staying parallel. Arms can go out to your challenge point. And remember, we're finding 50-50 here. All right. Now, press the pedal down. Pedal stays down. Hands behind your head if that's for you. Head pushes up and back. Pedal stays down. We twist to the left and back to center. Go up through that cylinder, that narrow cylinder. Legs, pedal, stable. Lift up, up, up. Now on this side, because I remember my left hip wants to hike up, I'm really thinking of it going down to my right inner thigh and then back to center. Well, that helps with the hand on the hip. Oh, and this is why having a teacher with you is so good. And I'm already forgetting, all right? As we twist, the pedal's gonna lift up and then back to center, press it down. Pedal's gonna lift up, twist, pull it into, press down. Ooh, I'm feeling that left thigh. Back to center. 2 more. Lift up, ribs in, back to center. Last one. Back to center. Okay, challenge. Right foot up. Let's do it. Okay. Still think of that like scissoring moonwalk action with the legs. Round up and over, hands to wherever you can. Lift the ribs off of the thigh. Doesn't matter if the belly's touching the thigh, most likely will, but we're not caving into that thigh. All right, can you keep 50-50 here? Float the pedal up 1 inch. Pump the pedal. Right hip back, left hip forward. That's just gonna square you off. Now, if you'd like, keep pumping the pedal. Maybe the hands come off. Tripod connection through that right foot, y'all. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press it down with control. I'm going to now pivot. I'm going to face away from you. All right. Find your right foot where you can. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. So I'm going to think of that left heel kind of swiveling in towards the chair, right? We need that for our side pull-ups. Okay. So from here, close the front of your hips. I don't care what you do with the arms to start. Could you lift the pedal up just 1 inch and back down? Lift it up 1 inch and back down. So it's like my right knee keeps wanting to go in towards the chair, but my upper body already wants to twist to the right. So right knee to the left, upper body to the right. So many things. Ooh, it is on fire. Keep going. If you're going, all right. So when you're ready, we add those twists. All right. So pedal comes up, and then as it comes down, we twist and spiral to the right. Square off a little bit, twist, spiral to the right a little bit, and back up. Think of wringing out your center line. Right big ball of the foot stays down. Oh my gosh, things are on fire. I think my leg's gonna fall off. Let's do 3. Long spine, y'all. 2. And last one, control it. Come all the way down. Side pull-ups. It's good for the hips. It's good. Good stuff. Anybody else out there a little out of breath, feeling things with me? I hope you're still with me. I do. All right, drop your head, push into the arms. Legs are zipped up, both feet are flexed. Lift the pedal up and lower it down. Just like that press down that we did in the beginning, find it here. Find the tailbone dropping, center spine trying to lift up to the sky the entire time, even as the pedal comes down. So ribs stay up, hips descend. Ribs stay up, hips descend. Pull that left heel in, into the chair. 2 and 1. Lower it down. Square yourself off. Pedal it out. All right, let's go ahead and step you off. Okay, so I'm going to take off one of these springs. I'm going to be left with a middle spring. So again, if you have 4 settings, I'd love it if you were on one from the top, which would be your 3. And again, adjust accordingly. We're going to do our push-ups from the floor. So if you know that you struggle with push-ups, or if you're familiar with this move and you need to come down to your knees, do so, please, right? This is tough. And then just remember you have your pad, right? If you need it for your knees. So honor your body, please. All right. So remember, the wider the position with your feet, the easier this is going to be. The closer your legs are together, the harder this is going to be, right? At least with keeping the integrity of the movement. So I'm going to start. The pedal's going to be to my right, okay? There's enough room for me to walk back into a plank, all right? So just keep that in mind with your space. So my right foot is in line with the base of the chair. I'm going to reach the arms up to the sky. Big breath in, nod your chin, round up and over. Right hand comes to the pedal. Let's just go ahead and press it down. Take the other hand to the floor. Step your feet back. All right. Okay. So try to square your body off. Your right elbow will probably be bent, right? Lift your chest up away from the floor. Find strong legs. Without rotating, could you float the pedal up and press it down? Float the pedal up and press it down. Might have to go wider with my feet. All right, we've got 3 and 2 and 1. Press the pedal down. Could you now do 3 narrow push-ups? Doesn't have to be much. Last one. Straighten the arms. Keep the pedal down for as long as you can. Walk your feet into that start position. Pedal floats up. You float up. Arms come with you. They circle around and down. All right, other side. My booty's going to be to you now. So it's my left foot in line with the base of the chair. Arms up to the sky. Nod your chin, round down. Left hand to the pedal. Press it down, right hand out to the side. All right, try to find more shoulder width distance with your hands rather than super wide, okay? So square yourself off. A lot of times we have to think left hip down here. All right, can you stay square? Float the pedal up and down. It's not going to be all the way up unless you're like super tall, right? Might just be a little bit and down. Keep lifting that chest up away from the floor. Strong legs, y'all. For 2 and 1, pedal stays down. Narrow tricep push-ups. Feel like you're pulling your chest forward. For 3 and 2 and 1. Drop your head. Pedal stays down. Walk the feet in. Pedal comes up. Drop the tailbone down. Arms reach up and out to the sides. Y'all, we did it. Let's finish with a little stretch. Holy cannoli. When I was wanting to do a chair workout this morning, I wasn't planning on it being tough, but I just got so excited about all these things. And here we are. We're here. So my right leg is going to come up top. My left leg is going to hop back. If this stretch doesn't work for you, you can always come to here. A lot of people like to go seated, right, with a figure 4, okay? At the very least, I just want you to get a stretch in your hips, just a stretch in your body, okay? So back to this position. Just like our moonwalk we did, I'm going to think of that left hip coming forward, that right hip coming back a little bit, and I already feel a deeper stretch. When you're ready, hands are going to come down to the pedal, and then just carefully lean forward. Now, some days, sometimes I like to keep my back knee bent, and some days I like to keep it straight. They both, for me personally, provide a different stretch. Play with it. Now I want you to keep your left hand onto the pedal as your right arm sweeps up to the ceiling. As you go for this twist, your right knee, I want you to push it down, or your right thigh, whatever, push it down into the chair. Feel how that deepens your stretch. And then back to center. Last one. Spiral through that cylinder, even here. And then hand comes down, pedal floats up. Carefully unpretzel yourself. Whew, shake it out. Other side. My tighter side. How about you? Oof. All right. Feeling a lot of snap, crackle, pops in places. So when you're ready, right hip forward, left hip back. Carefully walk forward. You can always have your hands on top of the chair here. Probably should have put a heavier spring on. Sometimes with the lighter springs, you're like, it's not enough support. I'm going to pop something. Breathe into those tight places. Try to relax the neck. And then when you're ready, left arm is going to come up. Here's where that push down into the left thigh, but also pull back with the left hip can really just, change things. So as I twist, I'm pushing my right hip forward into the chair more, or my thigh. And then back to center. Float the pedal up. This was fabulous. I do apologize if I was sniffling extra today. I'm just at the tail end of something and I just want to be done with it. I'm ready to move. But let me know what you thought of this session in the comments. I had a blast doing this. I felt lots of good things. I got really wrung out. So I appreciate you being here. Be safe this week, traveling with, seeing family and just being out on the roads in general. And thanks, y'all.